Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at stress and where does stress fit on my special teaching tool. Remember, I've identified all the most important pieces to the puzzle, and when I first started thinking about stress I thought to myself, well, where does that fit on my puzzle? And then that's when I realized that there really isn't an item for stress by itself. Stress comes whenever we don't satisfy our needs. Remember, we have 12 essential needs and 2 additional temporary needs. And we become stressed whenever we don't satisfy our needs. Take sleep, for example. Sleep deprivation is a very big problem right now in our society. Most of us are not getting enough sleep. And the problem with sleep deprivation is that it's cumulative. And this is so important because we heal when we sleep. In fact, our cells have circadian rhythms in them just like we do. And when we sleep, light is emitted from our cells. These are the biophotons I refer to over and over and over again. So when we're sleeping, more light is emitted than ever because the body's communicating to itself to heal itself. So sleep is one of the most important pieces to the puzzle. We can die within a pretty short period of time if we don't get enough sleep. In fact, sleep deprivation is still used to torture people, to get information out of them. When you think, why would we want to use that method to get information? Anybody will tell you anything when you're being tortured, and yet we still do that as a species, which simply reflects how sick we are. So we can be stressed anytime we don't satisfy our needs. If we don't get enough sleep, we can get stressed. If we don't get enough sunshine or exercise, we can be stressed. And then one of the best ways to deal with the stressful life we live, which has to do with a lot of factors, we know that exercise is one of the best things we can do. And one of my pet peeves when it comes to stress is noise pollution. We are bombarded by so much noise right now that in itself produces stress. So many of us have different ways of dealing with stress. Many times we turn to food to deal with stress, and yet that's the worst time we should turn to food. Because one of the most important rules when it comes to eating is never eat when you're stressed, because you could be eating the best of foods, but if you're stressed when you eat, you won't produce your digestive juices and the food won't be digested, assimilated, and eliminated properly. So it's real important that we have a handle on stress, that we have to understand that we have to satisfy our needs. Unfortunately, most of us don't have the knowledge to do so. And then when given that knowledge, most of us won't apply it. And that's why I added 2 preliminary steps to the only thing we have to do, satisfy all of our needs so we don't have stress. And the first step addresses the wellness issue. That's where we take a solid food vacation and go for the appropriate length of time. And then when we do that, we're going to bump up our biophotons, we're going to flush out that cesspool, that serpent that lives within us. We're going to reset our feedback system so it's going to be much easier to eat the right kind of foods. And then we'll want to be active. We'll want to do all the things we need to do, like all the other animals do without having to be told what to do. Again, we suffer for a lack of knowledge. Most of us don't have the knowledge we need to live. And most of us are in denial about what's right and what's wrong. So how do we make sense out of all the confusion that surrounds nutrition right now? There's only one way. Heed the words of Aristotle. Believe only your own experience. There is no fact like a fact learned from your own life. The problem now is we have a malfunctioning survival mechanism. We can't trust our own feedback system. We've lost our natural instincts. So what do we have to do? Go on a long, solid food vacation, gain back our lost instincts, so we'll know what to eat, how much to eat without having to be told. And if you're not sure you're getting everything you need, just put your information into a chronometer. And if you're coming up short, the chances are you're simply not eating enough greens. Remember, the average man and woman needs at least 2 pounds of leafy greens a day. In fact, a ballpark figure would be the average woman needs about 3 to 5 pounds of fruit, 2 pounds of leafy greens, maybe a handful of nuts or seeds. The average man, 4 to 6 pounds of fruit, 2 pounds of leafy greens, a handful of nuts or seeds. That's just a ballpark figure, and that's assuming you're not very active. If you're active, you might need to double all those numbers. But remember, it's not easy making better choices. What's the solution? Take a solid food vacation. And when you do, my friends, you're in for a treat.